Sue.
Hi, Janelle.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. So I'm visiting today to help out with a project. Can
Yes.
you give a backstory?
I have a job that I wanted to do in Empire Balance. I wanted to update the clients' window treatments. They were very interested in still having a swag, but something a little bit more updated. And so I went to the Empire Balance, and it's been a while since I've done one. So I love going into all the old webinars, and I went to the D&D webinar from last year, and you had done a webinar entitled Speed Empire Balance.
Yes, I remember that
Yes.
one. I remember that. So as you were going through the webinar, I had a few questions, and
Right.
we're so close. So this worked out great.
Yeah, this was nice having somebody in my workroom. Very nice.
And it created a good lesson for the Workroom channel. So
Okay.
here we are. Let's begin with your questions. Where was the struggle with the use of the Park Hill and the Maffei pattern?
Yes, because the Maffei pattern obviously has all the little Christmas tree patterning to be able to do the swag. The Park Hill has the low bulk method, and you were incorporating both of them, which really intrigued me. Because I like the low bulk, especially on the top of the board, that you don't have all that excess.
Right. It just makes it easier to not only I think it's easier to cut the pattern, it's also easier to mount. Mostly easier to mount. Right. And then it looks cleaner.
Right. So through your webinar, when I had gotten to the point where you were describing how to incorporate both the pattern and the Park Hill together, I understood it all, but I when I went to take my Park Hill to do my measurings, that's where I got stumped.
Okay, so we'll do a layout specifically for your size pattern.
Okay.
And we'll lay the Park Hill down and get the finger spacing right.
Great.
And get a good photo of it, and that will be helpful for everybody.
Good.
So, okay, good to go. This is a triple swag? Five. Okay, so you've got 5 swags, 6 bells.
Yes.
2 cascades.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so when you took the whole treatment, you took out your half bells, 1.5 inch on this side, 1.5 inch on this side for half of a bell on each side. And so that got you to the center point of the end swags.
Right.
And then you took that measurement and divided it by 5.
Right.
And you got
24 was like 23 and
23-ish.
almost, yeah. So I went to the 24.
Went to the 24 and pulled the correct pattern from Maffei for the 24-inch swag width right here.
Yes.
Right? 24-inch swag width, so folded that over. And this pattern is for
and I'm going to do the
18. You're doing 18?
I'm going to do 18.
Okay, wonderful. So, good use of pattern. So let's just deal with the half then on this side. So we'll just mark the bottom, mark the top. Sometimes people will use weights or, secure just one pin or something.
I'll pop
keep them sliding around.
Do you need?
Yeah, let's just pop a couple pins in. So this will be the actual pattern piece. So we can go ahead and make markings, right? So this is the fold. This is the fold. Go ahead and just secure it like two spots. This is the fold. All right, we got a little notch there. This line is definitely staying in place. Okay. Okay. So here's the. Okay, so to align this, you need to keep in mind that 3-inch marking there is for the low point of the first finger.
Okay.
And then we'll go the rest of the fingers, and then we need to extend the end finger, which is really like this one up top. Let me loosen this up. Okay, so with the Park Hill, you can't see it, but if we align this, let's move this. This to the top there, because normally in the Park Hill, if you're mounting it on a board, you add 2 inches to this, right? So same thing. We'll add the 2 inches to this. We want this alignment, right?
Okay.
That. this line that goes up.
Oh, gotcha.
That's the extension of this. Inside of, this should be 12 inches, right? Half of your swag. We've come in a 1/2 inch for each finger. So this extension of the Park Hill lines up to that 3/2 inches in.
Okay.
And then down here, we need this dot to align. Okay. And, we can cheat it a little bit. If it's not working out perfectly, set this first, because really this is where the placement, right? We want that placement. And then if we need to come down a little bit to be only 2 inches up from the Park Hill, we can. And I kind of think that's what we should do. Let's go right there. And then this one extends up and then only 2 inches, so we'll kind of chop it off at that point.
All right.
Then we were going to that line. That's where we were. And it was 2 inches. There we go.
All right. Right on the mark.
What? Okay. And you do want this little cutout there. And when you're looking at it and just kind of getting your bearings, it is important to understand that this is the top of the swag and we need the spacing to be the same to the first finger as it would be in a typical Park Hill swag.
Right.
Right? But then down here, the bell actually cuts into the swag.
Okay.
Which is why we're not using the fingers that would normally extend to make an 18-inch swag.
Okay.
So in a Empire Valance or a bell swag, your bell is essentially cutting into that swag.
Right. Where a traditional swag, this
extends up to the board.
Right.
Yeah. Good.
And that's what makes this one the look that it has.
Yeah, that's why this has, because the swag pattern is essentially the same thing, only it comes out to here, right? And then there's a little shape at the bottom.
Right.
Okay, great. There's your pattern back. And then let's set this aside.
Can I ask too, how did you decide on yours, the 3 fingers versus the pattern here has 5
pleats? So that's a great question. That was just based on spacing. I had calculated yardage based on the pattern.
Okay.
Before I had made my finger pattern.
Okay.
And I also have a preference for cleaner looking, fewer pleats.
Yes.
Right? So choosing the 3 pleats just made Park Hill finger pleats are spaced farther apart than Maffei pattern swag pleats.
Okay.
And definitely bell swag pleats. See how close these are together.
Right.
And so it's not a right or wrong, it was a preference. But if you're going with Park Hill finger tabs, that spacing is bigger, so it's going to take fewer of them to get to the same point to use up the same amount of fabric.
Okay.
I could do it with 5 pleats.
But they'd be shallow, more shallow.
They'd be more shallow, but I could do Park Hill pleats and still have 5 in that swag. But I would have to come in 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1.5 inch, 2 inches, and then another one, right? So it'd be coming in 2.5 inches, and then I'd have to match that, the 5 finger spacing, which would be way up there.
Okay.
So you can do it, but then you'd have fingers going.
And would that be more if I wanted to have a 20-inch drop or a 22-inch drop?
No,
that's where I would.
It wouldn't affect the drop because the drop is.
You're right.
Right there.
Okay.
It's just going to put. It's going to put a lot more fabric. Pleated up.
Okay.
And with the Park Hill, that's really kind of too much fabric.
Right.
Yeah, because the spacing of the Park Hill fingers.
Okay. Because that confused me with seeing these, so I'm glad you explained that.
Right.
That's.
So we're making 2 changes. We're not just getting rid of the bulk and using the Park Hill fingers for that. We are changing the number of pleats. 5 in the Maffei Empire, and we're using 3. The 3 though Park Hill pleats, you'll see actually drapes into 4.
Okay.
right? Because one falls from
Okay.
this point
Okay.
without being attached. One falls from behind the bell.
Okay.
Great. Okay, let's pull this up
All
and
right.
press it. Let's lop this off.
Can you use those or okay?
Oh, are they? They're working fine.
Okay, good.
Okay, and there's my fold. Fold line there. Fold line there. And I like to put a notch always for the center of the swag. Do you want to go ahead and cut your pattern up?
And the difference too with the Empire is this flat bottom.
Yes. Although that's a fun thing to alter. You can create interesting shapes.
Okay.
They can come to a point, that's fun. Or you can just soften it so the bells actually come up higher. You know, you can drop that, droop that down, and it gives the illusion that the bells are hiked up.
So we don't always have to stay with the specific pattern. We can alter.
Never. We can rarely stay with the original pattern. That's what's fun about this. Huh? Boy, as a lefty, that just seems so awkward.
No, I've had to deal with this for years.
Yeah. Well, I guess if it's how you learn, that's.
Moving forward, when I have different sizes of swags, this is still the same process that I'm always going to do. When I increase or decrease my swag, it's going to be more this area here.
Right. So,
only this area.
Right. If it's an 18-inch drop.
Okay.
Right. So this pattern now you've got an Empire swag pattern.
Okay.
For this one was
24 wide.
24 wide. So I'm always in the habit of write it on
Right.
here, right?
Right.
So Empire swag.
Right.
I usually draw it out. 1, 2,
Okay.
3 folds. We know a fourth one falls in,
Okay.
right? And then, you know, of course, you've got your bells. But from the center point to the center point, right, from the center point of the swag to the center point, this one was designed for
24.
24 inches. And if you were to extend, right, if we're going to use this pattern for an 18-inch Empire swag but needed it to be 28,
Right.
then you'd go 1, 2 inches out here. That would give you the extra
4 inches.
4 inches
Okay.
for the 28-inch width.
All right.
Okay, while we're on this, you want to show your
Okay.
technique for your.
To try to figure out multiple swags, before I ever even got my board, I needed to get yardage for fabric. So I needed to know, and I put it all out on paper, but then I also like to know where the placement of everything's going to be.
Yeah.
So
So you don't have to figure it twice, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
And
so
I
you
love
got-
my buckram patterning.
Great.
So that's what I made. I cut the piece of buckram the length of the width of the board, which was 121 inches wide.
And then you came in.
And I came in 1.5 inches on both ends
Great.
to minus that off.
For the center of the bell,
Yes.
right? And then
Yes.
the first swag will go from that. Okay.
Yes.
So you deducted that, and then you got
the other
from that
end.
end to this end, and you took that measurement and divided by
5.
5 because you want 5 swags.
Yes.
Excellent.
And
Yeah.
and I always do, even though I knew my swag was going to be in the center, in between the center of the board, I always make my center
Right.
working, just so I have that. And then rolled out as much as I needed, and then worked from here as to my placement for my swags. And then I'll be able to use this. I do have my board cut now. I got my board and I have my board cut. but I'll be able to use this now for my patterning.
Right.
And then I have it all marked for
Right.
5 years from now when I get another call for
for
21 inch.
121 inch, which you'll never get. But still, the whole process of, you know, either marking directly on the board or on something, if you didn't have the board yet,
Yes.
it's something just so that when you're doing those calculations, you
Right.
don't have to rethink it
Right.
when you get to that point. That's very
Right.
smart.
Right.
Okay, so when we're draping this, we want to see how it will end up here.
Okay.
Because this should be the same 24 inches. So we've got a 24-inch wide Empire swag. It's marked
That
on the
sounds
pattern,
perfect
right?
because
This is the fold.
yeah.
Yeah, what we
But this is gonna help eliminate all the problems of making these up and then going to a board and saying, oops, I don't know how it's gonna fit.
Oops, exactly, right. If the
So this
pattern
is-
fits, right.
Because this is the bulk
and
of
then
the
we
time.
do need to consider this,
Right.
always, right? Your patterning is your, it is your time.
Okay,
It's actual
that's
making the
perfect.
treatment started there. Okay, so let's go ahead and drape this here.
Oh,
What
I'm
we
sorry.
can do is we can put this across there. This will be our. Okay. Oh, nice. Very good. Okay. And we can draw.
Do you also, would you mind clipping that?
Oh,
So I
like the
know that
center
that's
there? Yeah,
the-
you go ahead and clip that.
Okay, one of the many tips that I know I'm gonna take away from today is, I do this where I make my patterns and I label them, but I do not put a drawing on it. And I love this, that you have the drawing. Now I know when I pull this out 5 years from now, that this is what this pattern is for. Instead of just looking at it and saying, what is this and what size is this? I have it right in front of me, so that's perfect. I love that.
The other thing you can do is, you know, take those pieces, put it in a bag, and I would usually do something on the front.
Okay.
And even better is the picture of the finished job.
Yes.
Slide that in, and then you really can easily find something. I always would, put the drop and the center point, because so 33 inches from center to center is what
Okay.
I try. Center of bell to center of bell, 18 inches drop. Because if I have anything close to that measurement, if it's the same drop, anything close to this measurement, that's the one I'll pull out. And okay, let's line this up. And keep our fingers crossed. So we want 2 inches up on the board. Another sometimes nice to do is put double stick tape down.
Okay.
But
Another
there's
time
that,
saver.
yeah, right. I do that on the board.
Yes.
But when I'm patterning, I usually just pin it because. Okay, and we should be, we should have about 1.5 inches. Now remember, this isn't the 1.5-inch board extension. This is the 1/2 inch for each
bell.
pleat,
Okay.
right? 1/2
Okay.
inch for each pleat. So the first, because when I drape these, I bring this up and it is 1/2 inch outside of the first cut.
Okay.
See that? And that was just a trial and error thing. It's not like that's recommended in Park Hill or like. So not 1/2 inch overlap, but 1/2 inch
From the outside.
from the outside. So
Okay.
so from this cut to there is a 1/2 inch. So let's take a close up of that.
Let's mark it, so I remember from this.
Oh, that's a good idea. Mark it right on the pattern. Right. So we're overlapping it so that. Yeah, I don't know if that's a first pleat. First pleat. So each finger, in order to get out to that center marking, there we go. And we do want to
Okay.
roll
I
those
wrong
back. Okay, let's see.
So I have to bring it in.
Okay, now let's grab the tape measure. Remember we talked about 3 folds and then a 4th one will.
I love the look of these.
Me too.
There you go.
Come down there and get the shot. And let's see how close we are. Oh my gosh! Woo! Success. Voila.
Okay, great.
And when you do your bell, then there's hardly anything up here to interfere, right?
Yes.
And even the seam will hit the board. You won't see it from the outside, but you won't have the bulk of the seam up on the board as well because you'll end it right there. And you do also want to make sure this is vertical. Sometimes when you've done a lot of pattern alteration here to here, it creeps in.
Yes.
If it does that, you can just alter your pattern. You know,
Okay.
glue a little extra lining on there and get it. And also, that will change a little bit. If you chose to cut your swags on the bias, which you can,
Yes.
in these sometimes, depending on your fabric, that might make this come out a little farther or come in a little bit. And so you can change your pattern for the bias cut if you need to.
Okay.
But you're looking for a straight line there, you're looking for the drop length as planned, and then this, because this was taken from the Maffei pattern,
Yeah, so they're...
that notch will line up and the bell should extend about 3 inches from that dot
Okay.
so that it will fold back over here. Beautiful. Good job.